A bright sun brings the arrival of a new morning in the city of dreams, Los Angeles. Dexter wakes up in bed with a blonde woman who he spent last night with. He checks his phone while the woman, Monique, is still asleep. He has to be at work soon, so he cautiously pulls his tie from between her thighs. He quietly gets dressed, but she still wakes up just as he is about to leave. Monique immediately calls him out for trying to sneak out on her. Dexter resorts to lying to save face but accidentally calls her by some other woman's name. Monique corrects him in frustration and regrets falling for his sweet talking. Her friend had warned her about Dexter's character and yet she didn't listen to him. Dexter denies her accusations by making up the excuse that he was going out to get her a latte. He adds that he'll get her the latte next time, and she makes it very clear that there won't be a next time. Dexter doesn't seem hurt by this and wishes her a nice life anyway. After ruining Monique's morning, Dexter walks up to his office all dressed up, with a big smile on his face. He greets people on his way in and seems to have a way with the ladies. They all seem charmed by him without even him trying too hard. One of his colleagues, Tiffany, tries to make plans with him, but he turns her down with a lame excuse. Then, he wishes one of the senior female employees, Doris, a good morning. But she can see right through him and doesn't reciprocate his cheerful attitude. They have a love-hate relationship. But since she knows him so well, the hate part often dominates the love aspect. Dexter's ego is then boosted by his male friends and colleagues, Randall and Chris. Randall is especially curious to know whether Dexter got laid last night or not. Chris is more mature than him and doesn't share Randall's enthusiasm on the matter. He informs them that their boss, Willis, called a meeting today which could be about Brad. But Randall's questions get more intrusive and personal with time, so Chris advises Dexter to finally spill. All Dexter does is show them the steamy videos from last night that he captured with Monique. This is enough to blow their minds and worship Dexter as the ultimate player of this office. Everyone gathers for the meeting and is busy in their chatter when Willis arrives. He tries to get everyone's attention, but Doris does that for him, by yelling at all the male employees. Willis addresses everyone's speculations about Brad and announces that he has been dismissed. Willis adds that Brad's replacement will be there tomorrow. He'll be replaced by Jerry, who is a great team player and knows how to negotiate too. Randall voices his concerns about whether Jerry even knows how to play basketball. He doesn't want to be defeated by Willis brothers' team. Willis responds to this by telling them all that Jerry played NCAA hoops for UT. This earns Jerry some respect, and Willis instructs everyone to be nice tomorrow. Once everyone is gone, Dexter shares his optimism about Jerry's arrival. They are getting their hopes up as they might stand a chance to win the championship this year. Chris offers a more thoughtful perspective that they should be concerned about whether Jerry can contribute to the company. But for Randall and Dexter, as long as Jerry can play well, he's good enough for them. Dexter returns home and gives his auntie, Amina, a hug. He smiles at his younger sister, Sophie, and sits down to tell Amina about his day. Sophie and Amina tease him about his hyperactive sex life. Sophie conveys that Lisa called him last night. Even though Sophie covered for him, she still doesn't like him for stringing Lisa along like that when she deserves better. She orders him to either work it out with Lisa or let her go for good. She won't make excuses for him anymore, but Dexter argues that these matters are more complicated than she thinks. Even though she's young, Sophie knows that it's not wise to complicate something so simple. But Dexter is too self-absorbed to realize all of this right now. He calls Lisa back and makes plans with her to go on a date after lying straight to her face about why he has been unavailable. The next day at work, he signs his incoming time at the front desk with Doris. There, he is approached by multiple women again who are trying to flirt with him. Tiffany asks him about his schedule and he makes up a dumb excuse. Tiffany leaves and Dexter notices that Doris is grinning at him. Her being nice to him makes him uncomfortable, so he asks her what's up. Her source of joy lies in the fact that their boss called Dexter to his office. She hopes that he gets the humiliation he deserves. Dexter feels better now that the world has returned to its order where Doris is evil. As soon as Dexter steps inside Willis' office, he can't take his eyes off the beautiful young woman who stands gracefully with an attractive smile on her face. She has been talking to Willis and the others. Willis introduces Dexter to the woman, Jerry, who turns out to not be a dude after all. Randall and Chris are just as shocked as Dexter to see that Jerry is a lady, and a hot one at that. He begins to work his charm on her instantly, but Willis interrupts him with the actual subject of their meeting. He sets a goal for this team to sign one of the blue-chip quarterbacks who have just been added to the draft. He incentivizes them by promising a Porsche and a $100,000 bonus to the one who brings in a deal. Dexter is about to assure Willis of his commitment, when Jerry talks over him with her enthusiasm. Willis appreciates her initiative and wraps his arms around her. This makes Jerry visibly uncomfortable, but she continues to smile while the guys feel like they've already lost. Dexter loses his cool in the break room as he vents to his friends about how Jerry is trying to outshine him. Dexter talks himself up and claims his right to be the only cocky and confident one in this office. Randall then questions what the deal was about her playing UT. Chris has done some research and explains that the women's team at Tennessee has won 8 national titles. While Dexter looks down on her for being a girl, Randall views her as a woman who he'll happily follow. They all agree that she is gorgeous, but Dexter reminds himself that he can't let her looks distract him. Randall loudly wonders whether Dexter would be able to score her too, and Dexter takes it as a challenge. Chris shakes his head in disappointment as Randall places a bet on Dexter getting Jerry to bed with him. He will also require proof as he did with Monique. Chris reinforces that the fate of their company lies in them making deals, and they're making bets on trivial matters. Dexter is desperate to stay on his high horse, so he aims to win it all. He claims that he will sleep with her and sign the quarterback as well. Chris also puts his money in, hopeful that that'll at least do the company some good and earn them a new client. What none of the men know is that Jerry has been eavesdropping on their disrespectful but useful conversation. That evening, Dexter shows up at Lisa's door holding a bouquet of flowers for her. She scoffs at him and inquires whether these white roses signify his guilt. He smiles and says that they are a sign of affection as he moves closer to her. She still hasn't fully warmed up yet but lets him in. She declares that she has had enough, but Dexter wraps his arms around her. He compliments her and uses their old memories to win her back, but tears roll down her cheeks. This is not enough for Lisa. His apologies and flowers can't make up for him standing her up again. He lies, stating that he didn't stand her up and was just out of town. She catches him in one of his lies and states that she is done with him. He doesn't understand how serious she is and continues trying to cheer her up. She opens up to him about how most of her friends are married and have kids at this point. Meanwhile, she is still waiting for him to grow up. She knows that they were on a break, but she hasn't been with anyone. Dexter still doesn't respond to her vulnerabilities and tries to distract her. This literally proves Lisa's point, and she grows more definitive of her decision to break up with him. Dexter argues that they can't be over right now. They took a break and are working out the kinks but still are on the same team. She snaps at him, pointing out that her problem is that he's not on her team at all. They were supposed to take this time to clear their minds, have some space, and reset. But all he did was sleep around instead of finding the heart to love her. For once, Dexter is speechless and Lisa walks away from him. When he comes home that night, Sophie clearly indicates that she is on Lisa's side. According to her, Dexter should commit to her, but he is quite clueless. He has been with Lisa since high school, but some parts of him still want to see the world. She wants him to get too serious too fast, but there's still a lot more that he wants to do in life. The next day, Dexter and the boys come to Jerry's office while she has just finished doing some yoga. Dexter asks how she plans to sign the quarterbacks, adding that he wants to help her out. She brings up one of his old accolades and asks how he did it, while sitting down beside him. He boasts that he did his research and found the player's weakness. He took advantage of the player's sentiments attached to his late mother to sign him up. Dexter explains that sometimes it's not about the money but the personal connection. She compliments his smartness and insists on hearing about more of his achievements and what tactics he used. Randall and Chris have been watching them and commend the hold Jerry can have over a man. She manages to learn his secret technique for getting one of the players. She moves closer to him and suggests they work together to win over the player's mother and to get him to sign. Dexter appears intoxicated when Randall and Chris break into Jerry's cabin. They forcefully take Dexter away before he gives away any more information. Dexter realizes afterward that Jerry worked him over good, but he doesn't let it show in front of his friends even though they all know the truth. Dexter is playing basketball later with his boys when Jerry joins them. She heard about the tournament from Willis and that the boys usually play his brother in the finals. Dexter doesn't want her playing and misogynistically recommends her to cheerlead for them. However, Jerry easily beats him at every match of basketball that day, earning herself a place on their team. After his regular banter with Doris, Dexter heads in to have his meeting with Willis. In a very confusing metaphor, Willis directs Dexter to not get distracted and waste his time on Jerry. He expects Dexter to keep it in his pants and score this company the win it desperately needs. Nevertheless, Dexter approaches Jerry that evening. He apologizes for his sexist behavior and makes up with her. Then they start joking around and Dexter finds a way in. Jerry shares that her dad coached her in high school and they were really close. But everything changed when he went overseas and they grew distant. She felt like a disappointment for him when she didn't make it to the WNBA, so she decided that she must be a sports agent. She wants to take Dexter out for dinner to get to know him better. When Dexter tells his friends about this on their morning jog, Randall is thrilled to hear about Dexter's progress. Chris wants Dexter to reconsider because her eagerness seems susceptible. He points out that it's too good to be true and it could be possible that Jerry has her own agenda. Chris warns Dexter that this might be a setup, but he stays confident in his skills with the ladies. Dexter finds Jerry really beautiful as she is all dressed up at their dinner together. Jerry has brought him to a fancy Hollywood hotspot to treat him. She easily charms him and the smooth talker seems to be at a loss for words for once in his life. Coincidentally, Lisa arrives outside the restaurant as she has been tracking him. She decides to teach this wannabe player a lesson. Dexter and Jerry are about to raise a toast together when Lisa rushes inside the restaurant, ready to charge on him. But the restaurant staff tackles her, which creates a scene. Jerry turns around to see what the commotion is about when Lisa screams at Dexter. He ignores Lisa while continuing to talk to Jerry as if everyone can't hear the insults Lisa is throwing at him. Jerry mentions that this must be the girlfriend Doris told her about and Dexter clarifies that they're on a break. When Lisa doesn't stop at all, Dexter is finally inclined to go after her while Jerry is amused by all the drama. As Lisa leaves, it becomes very clear that she and Dexter no longer have a future. He apologizes to Jerry for the disruption and she slightly flirts with him. As their dinner ends, Dexter feels really conflicted. He visits Lisa later that night to clear things out. He explains that what she saw wasn't a date and that Jerry is just a colleague. Lisa loves him a lot but can no longer put up with all this, so she gives him his freedom and kicks him out of her apartment. Dexter goes home early that night and recounts all these events to Sophie. Her mature response makes him praise her mindset and personality. He mentions how nice it would have been for their mom to see her turn into the young lady Sophie has become. He misses his mom and is scared of losing all memory of her, because it's fading with time. He has realized that it's time to move on from Lisa now. Amina adds to the conversation and provides her seasoned advice too, with a touch of humor and sass. Dexter finally has a meeting with one of the quarterbacks, Marcus, and his mother. He makes his pitch and Marcus's mother seems to have taken an extra liking to him. She sends Marcus away despite Dexter's hesitation and gets closer to him. She mentions in passing that Jerry has been calling her and Dexter dismisses her. It's clear that Marcus's mother makes all his decisions for him and she makes direct advances on Dexter. The meeting ends with Dexter feeling a bit uncomfortable due to the way he was objectified, but things are looking up for him otherwise. Randall and Chris have been eagerly waiting for him to see how far he made it in their bets. Dexter discloses that he's taking it slow and his friends take this as a sign of weakness and possible defeat on his side. Dexter tries not to make it too apparent, but it looks like he's losing his mojo. When he runs into Jerry later, they talk about Lisa. Dexter admits that Lisa isn't taking his calls and that he feels awful. Jerry invites him to her house for dinner to make him feel better. They agree to meet Friday night and Dexter celebrates this victory silently and privately. He brings a bottle of wine to dinner at her house like a gentleman. She kisses him on the cheek and lets him in. To his surprise, her parents are also present and will be joining them for dinner. Once he's introduced to them, Jerry takes him aside and confesses that she lied to her parents about having a boyfriend. So now he has to act like her boyfriend so that Jerry's parents are no longer paranoid about her being a lesbian. She promises to make it up to him and he sits down at the dinner table with her family. Jerry's parents, Nate and Martha, seem to be big fans of Jesus. Nate interrogates Dexter about his intentions with Jerry and he assures Nate that he wants to have a deep and meaningful relationship with his daughter. Jerry's parents inappropriately pray for Dexter and Jerry to never fornicate and stay away from sin. It's a difficult task to sit through this dinner, but Dexter survives. A man named Mr. Arnold shows up at Amina's door and implores her to sign some papers. She must let him wire the handsome amount of money to her so that she can inherit her husband's estate. Amina declines the offer as usual and sends him away. Willis calls a meeting and expresses his disappointment in the team as they've lost one player to their competitor. Now his employees are under more pressure to sign the other player before it's too late. Jerry is in the middle of proposing a strategy when Dexter talks over her and makes a bold promise to Willis. This somehow cools their boss down, but he still threatens to make some budget cuts if this doesn't work out in his favor. Both Dexter and Jerry run back to their offices to get to work. Dexter gulps down a drink and makes a call to Marcus's mother. Unwillingly, he reciprocates her interest and makes plans to meet her the following night. He braces himself and becomes her arm candy at a bar while she sips on some champagne. The night ends with her sleeping with him to take advantage of the situation, and Dexter forcing himself to play along. Sophie's been waiting for him when he gets home. He confides in her about how he keeps doing things he doesn't want to do. Sophie honestly associates his confusion with his lack of compassion for others. She always gives him the cold hard truth and he loves her for that. She requests he take Amina to the insurance office because she has an exam. Dexter says yes out of obligation. The next day at work, Dexter boasts to Doris, Randall, and Chris that his deal with Marcus will be closing soon. He is also confident about getting Jerry too and plans to finish it off really soon. Jerry finds him in his office and wants to talk in private. Wearing a top that accentuates her cleavage and an anxious expression on her face, she plays the damsel in distress. Since she is still on probation, she'll lose her job if she doesn't land the player. Dexter empathizes with her but is about to excuse himself when she grabs his face and kisses him. Dexter switches his attitude and is ready to save her job. She kisses him some more to seal the deal. Soon after, he gives up his credit and announces that Jerry has signed Marcus. This earns Jerry appreciation and respect from Willis, and she mouths a thank you to Dexter. However, Chris and Randall are disappointed in Dexter for giving away all his hard work. Nevertheless, Dexter tells himself that he did the right thing. At their boys' night out, Dexter reveals to his friends that he sees something special in Jerry. His friends are not so sure about his change in him, but he has high hopes for the future. Marcus's mother attends a meeting with Dexter and Jerry to sign the paperwork. Dexter convinces her to leave Jerry's name on the contract to make her look good in front of Willis. Jerry then notices how excessively Marcus's mother is favoring Dexter and puts two and two together. She can't believe that Dexter would go to this extent for her. They go out for drinks that night and Jerry says that she's ready for him right here and now. He's in for a shock when she confronts him about the bet he made with his friends. He comes clean to her that he did make the bet, but he gave up Marcus for her. This shows that he doesn't care about the bet and genuinely cares about her. She asks about Lisa and he sticks to the story that he's on a break with her. Dexter's in for a shock when he witnesses that Jerry had this whole conversation broadcasted through her livestream. He feels betrayed and leaves the bar with his feelings hurt. The next day, Dexter doesn't have a comeback for Doris's shots at work for the first time. Lisa also finds out about how he got played by his so-called colleague. Sometime later, Willis gives him a call to break the news that he's fired, because Jerry outperformed him. Tiffany giggles as she's hooking up with Willis now and they hang up on Dexter. Dexter is in for more losses as he finds out that Lisa has also moved on from him and is dating some other guy now. Some days later, he discovers that Amina painted a picture of his mother for him and Sophie. This is a lesson for him to change his ways and be good. He and Amina are waiting at the insurance office when he articulates that he has lost everything. Amina teaches him that there are many moments in life where it feels like you've lost it all. But in reality, we always have something left that we must be grateful for. Dexter knows that he messed things up with Lisa. It turns out that his mother was an addict who walked out on her kids after Amina's accident. Even though she's gone now, he resents her and indirectly punishes women for her actions. Amina donates her husband's inheritance money to cancer research. She doesn't want it because he was a tobacco executive and Arnold commends her character. Dexter meets his friends to get their help with his new plan. They get info from Doris that the papers have been sent to Marcus's attorney. Dexter teams up with Willis's twin brother to get Marcus, in exchange for a job at his competing company. Then, he finds Lisa and apologizes to her for everything. He promises to change and be better because he loves her. Naturally, she rejects him. Dexter goes over to Marcus's house to win them over on his merit. He succeeds and bonds with Marcus and his mother properly this time. When Jerry hears of this, she attempts to seduce him, but he knows better now. He gets the job and ultimately Lisa too, as Sophie brings her to see that Dexter really has changed for the better. Next, he faces her at the basketball tournament and she wins after trying too hard. Dexter isn't bothered though. He's winning at life as he has the perfect job and a loyal woman by his side.